Have you guys ever seen a half demon, half giraffe type creature? Well, guess what? You're about to. Here we go into a BDSP Wi-Fi battle versus MKPG. This battle was found on 2022-2021, and remember, if you guys enjoy my content, hit that sub button. Let's get into the match. Alright guys, let's get into the battle. So we are going to be seeing a lead Bronzong coming from MKPG, and of course we've got our Shuckle. Now Shuckle, of course, onto the field, we have the ability to set up some entry hazards. However, we are actually slower than the Bronzong, so the Bronzong is going to manage to get a Hypnosis off, which is actually going to stop us in our tracks. We can't set up any kind of sticky webs or any kind of rocks at this time. Shuckle isn't one of those Pokemon that I would normally use for any kind of a competitive or a wireless battle. It's not really my go-to for entry hazards or for leads, but in this case here, this team was chosen at random and I wanted to give it a try. So he's got a Reflect up at this time too, so not only does he have Light Screen, he has Reflect as well, and luckily we have Knockoff here, which is actually going to take off his Light Clay. Now if you don't know about Light Clay is an item that's going to keep those reflects and screens around for a lot longer than the norm. So we managed to actually get a Sticky Web off here, which is going to be good for any Pokemon coming in. They're going to basically lower their speed stat. In comes the Flash Cannon. Now this is actually super effective off onto Shuckle here. It's okay though, because we're actually going to be able to survive quite a few of these. We get a Stealth Rock off here, and that's going to help us out for any kind of Pokemon coming in that might have a Focus Sash. And it's just going to keep wearing down the health of the incoming Pokemon. Now that we have Shuckle in, we've got him set up, we don't really want to swap out Shuckle at this time, because if we swap out Shuckle, there's a possibility that that Flash Cannon is going to do a lot more damage to the incoming Pokemon rather than not. So we're going to stay in, we're going to hope that the screens wear out, and we're just going to keep trying to go for that Knockoff. The Knockoff should be effective onto this Bronzong, so it should be able to do some damage to him. I'm definitely going to say with the bulk of defense that this Bronzong has, plus the screens, it's definitely going to be a little bit tricky to take down with this Shuckle. So now that Shuckle's gone, we're going to go in with Infernape here. Now Infernape seems to be the best option for us to go in with. We're going to go for that Flare Blitz. We're going to be able to outspeed that Bronzong. We managed to get a really good hit, but here it is. Bronzong survives. So it's either due to the ability that Bronzong has, or he has some serious bulk. Plus as well, I think maybe Reflect is still up at this time. So that's basically why he's going to live. We actually get Hypnosis, which is unfortunate for us because we really can't do anything more to this Bronzong. We get hit by a Flash Cannon here. Luckily, we actually survive. Of course, it's not, going to be doing very much damage due to the type disadvantage, but he's going to go in and get the Reflect back up, which is definitely a smart play on his part because, quite frankly, any Pokemon that's going to take a physical attack later on might need that Reflect in order to survive a hit from this Infernape. We go in with the Flare Blitz, and Flare Blitz is going to be able to finish off the Bronzong, so that's going to be 1 down for MKPG, 1 down for us. Luckily, Infernape is still going strong. He ends up coming in with a Quagsire. Now with Quagsire onto the field, of course, it's a water type, it's a ground type. It's got some pretty interesting stats. Plus as well, with that Reflect, his defense is just boosted. There's just nothing we can do there with the Infernape. So we're actually going to swap out. We're going to go in with Tangrowth. Now Tangrowth coming into the field, it actually ends up getting a Yawn. So with that Yawn, it's going to make my Pokemon drowsy if I decided to attack next turn and basically fall asleep. So Tangrowth is kind of in one of those situations where if this Quagsire has Ice Beam, it could be a big problem for us. However, we do have Giga Drain. He's not going to stay in with his Quagsire for obvious reasons. He's going to go into Blaziken. Now Blaziken onto the field, firefighting, gets hit by that Sticky Web. Of course, its speed stat's going to drop, and of course the rocks are going to give him some damage. So that's definitely a good entry for Blaziken here, especially if it's a speed boosting one. We end up falling asleep because we did go for that Giga Drain. Now, I don't think this is a speed boost Blaziken because obviously it didn't show us that it was a speed boost. However, it might have been something where I might have edited it out. So he's going to go in for the Sword Stance. I actually swapped in with my Infernape, hoping that Infernape can maybe take a hit from this thing, maybe even outspeed it depending on the scenario. We get the Mach Punch. Mach Punch is going to be a priority move and actually hits off pretty good. Unfortunately, we end up going down with the next hit from that Blaziken. He's not able to survive that at all. If it wasn't for the fact that there was a Reflect there, I'm pretty sure the Mach Punch might have been able to take out Blaziken. However, we're going to go from Scizor now, and Scizor is actually going to go for that Bullet Punch. Now, Bullet Punch, another priority move, actually managing to take out Blaziken this time, even with the Reflect up. So that's actually kind of interesting that that actually occurred. Now, he's going to go into his Giratina next. Now, a shiny Giratina onto the field, at first, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm a little bit concerned in regards to Giratina, just because it's one of those Uber class Pokemon. It's something that I don't normally see a whole lot into just standard competitive battles. However, there's really not a whole lot that I can really do here with Scizor, except for maybe just like going for the Bullet Punch. As you can see, it doesn't really do a whole lot of damage, but he's going to actually go for the Shadow Force. Now, Shadow Force, of course, is a Ghost type move, so based on that, we can actually maybe swap out Scizor to another Pokemon here. As you can see, I'm trying to debate what my options are. I was thinking maybe Defog might be able to allow me to see this Giratina. Of course, not a really good decision. I don't think it would actually have worked. But anyways, we swap out Scizor for Girafarig. Now, Girafarig, I haven't actually used Girafarig since like maybe Gen 2. So I don't really know how or what kind of a set would be common with this Pokemon. So I just kind of threw a bunch of random attacks onto it and hoping that it would actually work. So in comes Drapion, because of course he knows that Giratina is not going to be able to do anything really to this Girafarig. We get a Dazzling Gleam off here. Dazzling Gleam doesn't really do a whole lot to that Drapion. So we're actually going to swap out back to Scizor, because Scizor has the bulk of defense. Here's that Night Slash coming in, and of course, you know, if that hit the Girafarig, that would have just one hit knocked it out. So we are going to stay in here with the Scizor. We're going to try to attack onto that Drapion. Drapion, of course, is one of those Pokemon that if you can get some really good stats onto it, it could definitely destroy. Like if you ev it correctly, like for example, if it's defense or attack, or if you go for a speed stat, that kind of idea. He gets some damage off again onto Scizor here. Scizor is really not worried about this Drapion. We're just going to go in for the attack here again, another Bullet Punch. That should be enough to take out Drapion, which fantastic it is. So we actually take him out. We got 3 Pokemon down on his side. We've got 2 Pokemon down on ours. So we get a little bit of our lefties there, and he decides to come in with his Rotom Mow. Now, it's a Grass-type Pokemon. I don't really see what this thing can really do to us. So I'm just going to go for that U-turn here. He ends up going for the Trick before we can actually get the U-turn off. And he actually ends up handing me a Choice Scarf. Now, that's going to be unfortunate for us now. I can't really do much with a Choice Scarf Scizor. So Scizor comes back to the party. We're going to go in with Tangrowth. Now, with Tangrowth onto the field, I don't feel that there's really much need to concern ourselves with Rotom. Grass type, electric type, maybe it might have a Shadow Ball, but it's definitely not going to be enough to maybe take out this thing. However, there's the Nasty Plot. So with Nasty Plot coming in, it's just going to boost up his special attack quite sharply. That could pose as an issue for us, especially if he has a attack that could be able to deal some damage off onto this Tangrowth, maybe Shadow Ball or something. He ends up going in for the Leaf Storm here. And actually, that does a lot of damage. However, he's just sacked his special attack power. Tangrowth waking up, of course, and then there's the knockoff to finish off the Rotom. So, definitely good try with that Rotom. However, not quite enough to be able to knock him out. So, with that being said, he actually is going to come back in with, I believe it's Giratina. So, Giratina coming into the field. I'm not really too concerned because I know Tangrowth has some defensive stats. It does have the knockoff, which should be effective to that Giratina, and of course, with the fact that the Sticky Web happened and the Stealth Rocks, we're actually in a very good position here to be able to try to take this thing on. He ends up going for the Dragon Claw. We survive like a pro. So we actually are going to stay in here, get that knockoff, and as you can see, that does quite a lot of damage. We actually ended up knocking off his Shell Bell, and that Shell Bell, of course, regains health every turn, so it's a good thing we knocked it off. So at this time, we're just going to go for another knockoff here. He goes for the Rest, and that's something that I didn't think was going to happen here. I didn't think Giratina would actually run a Rest. However, I haven't battled very many Giratina. Maybe you guys can post in the comments below what you guys think. Does Giratina run Rest, Sleep Talk mostly, or is it just kind of a fluke that he had Rest? Definitely not a standard Giratina that I've ever seen. So we still have the knockoffs here. We're just going to keep trying to go for those knockoffs because that is going to be definitely effective to it. He gets the Sleep Talk here, and that's actually going to finish off the Tangrowth, which is unfortunate because I really would have preferred to be able to get another knockoff here. I'm going to bring in Garchomp now because I think Garchomp is pretty good counter for this Giratina. I don't really want to bring in another Pokemon at this time just because of that Dragon Claw. We managed to get the Outrage here, and Outrage is actually going to finish off Giratina, which is fantastic. He's down to one more Pokemon, and in comes Quagsire. I'm pretty sure that this is an unaware Quagsire because why not? Why would you run anything other than an unaware Quagsire? Let me know. But we get the Outrage off here. It actually takes him down to half the hit points. He's going for the Yawn. And Yawn is going to make my Garchomp drowsy, so of course I'm locked into Outrage for one more turn here. If I do manage to get another Outrage off, which is definitely bound to happen, he's actually going to end up putting my Garchomp to sleep. And here it is. We take him right down to that red zone. You can see that I'm confused, but in comes the Muddy Water. Now Muddy Water is going to be able to hit the Garchomp, not doing a whole lot of damage, but doing a decent amount, which is good. For him, actually. He gets his leftovers, and here we are going to sleep. That's actually going to cure our confusion, which is definitely a good thing for us, because quite frankly, I don't really want to have a confused Garchomp running around in the field. We end up swapping out, going into Scizor here. Quagsire going back in for another Muddy Water, and Muddy Water has the tendency to drop accuracy as well, so that could always be a threat for Scizor if he can't get any kind of attacks off. So Quagsire is still on the field, he's down into the red zone, you get a Bullet Punch off, and as you can see, it doesn't really do a whole lot of damage to that Quagsire. But here he goes, keeps going back in for another Muddy Water, and Muddy Water at this time is now going to drop our accuracy. So any attack that we go for next does have a possibility of missing, especially like Bullet Punch. I didn't think Bullet Punch could miss, however, if you look here, it actually avoids the Bullet Punch. That's one fast Quagsire. Okay, to outspeed a Bullet Punch to the face. So anyways, he ends up knocking us out. There's really not much that Scizor can do at this point. We're going to go in with Girafarig because we didn't really get a whole lot of opportunity to use him here in this turn, or in this match. So we're just going to go in for that Psychic. And as you can see, this is a pretty cool Girafarig. The animations are on point, and this is a fantastic match. So that is going to be game. Alright, good game MKPG. Even though Girafarig did not have a whole lot of opportunity in this battle to shine, we will end up using him again, because that's quite frankly a really cool Pokemon. If you guys enjoyed my content, make sure you hit the sub button, post your comments, hit that like button, and check out one of the other battles listed above. I hope you guys had a fantastic day there today, and I hope you all take care.